if I told you that there is a way you can ace a test? And what if I told you that Morpheus never used this line on any of the Matrix films? Throughout the years and through many, many tests, researchers have been confounded, perplexed, riddled by the common belief that chewing gum can help you concentrate. While there are many out there that believe that this make-believe, magical, often mint-flavor hunk of gum can help you concentrate, well, there are many who don't. Does chewing gum help you concentrate? This question has been asked and scientifically studied throughout the years. One of the more recent studies suggests that chewing gum helps your brain to absorb and retain data. In the year 2013, Kate Morgan, Andrew J. Johnson, and Christopher Miles conducted a study where 40 individuals were split into two groups. Everything the volunteers had to do was to listen to a 30-minute long recording that contained a segment of numbers. And if you think that it wasn't enough torture, they were then asked to recall the number sequence embedded in the recording. And this is where that chewy mush comes in. One of the groups were administered a gum, while the other didn't get any. Surprisingly enough, the group who was administered the gum actually scored higher, and not only that, they seemed to be better focused. So let's develop more on this little common belief. In the year 2011, the same year the Harry Potter film saga ended, Laura Tuccia and William Sensom conducted a similar study. They stated that their human lab rats actually performed worse than the other volunteers who were not chewing gum. But rest assured, this was only a temporary drawback. As the test neared its conclusion, the individuals who had the gum actually presented a shorter reaction time, but this was only after the 20th minute. As replicability being one of the main sciencey things about science, researchers Kosov, Hughes, and Jones conducted their own research in the year 2012. They stated that their subjects who were chewing gum actually had a poorer performance to those who were not chewing gum. While Morgan's and Tuccia's gum munches performed better in their test, Kozlov's gum folks were actually lagging behind in all three tests that they gave him, and one of them was a word recall test, which was the test that both Morgan and Tuccia were using. So while enhanced memory storage capabilities are welcome in any human being, what these tests lacked was a real-world environment. So if chewing gum can help you memorize things better, why not someone else? Why not perform better in a different subject? Let's say, what about math? Kate Eshelman conducted a study on a group of hormone-raging, gum-chewing bunch of 8th graders and showed they actually performed better when they were giving a gum in comparison to those other classmates who were unlucky enough not to get a gum. And anything those poor fellows could do was stare in envy as their enemies stuff themselves and engulf themselves in a tasty piece of gum.
This study looked at a group of 8th grade math students and compared kids that were chewing gum during class, during homework time, and during testing time, compared to kids that were not chewing gum during those periods of time. And what they found was that there was an improvement on their standardized test scores.
So let's set out to prove if this common belief is indeed real, or just another hunk of hippy-dippy baloney. I set out into the wild to search for a brave group of volunteers to take a test they had no idea what it's going to be about. Now, this had to be done in order to ensure maximum unpreparedness and to prevent a placebo effect. I managed to conjure up a group of 18 volunteers, and they were split into 3 groups, A, B, and C, for control. C, control. Now, groups A and B were administered the unconditioned variable, while C was for control, C, control. The test environment was carefully considered to resemble an actual classroom environment with a few distractions. Why distractions? Well, this is what the test is about, right? We're testing if gum actually helps you concentrate, well, so why not have a little bit of distractions here and there to see if it's true, the gum will help you shift your focus from whatever unwanted input you want out of your head so you can stay focused on the test that's in front of you. This was a two-part test. Everything the groups had to do was answer a 100-question subtraction exam. Simple, huh? One round with the gum and one without. Volunteers in Group A started out with a gum in their mouths while Group B could do nothing but stare in envy. Of course, the condition will reverse the second time around. I'm gonna need you to chew this gum.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, Jeremy, you did not get a gum.
I brought that, what the heck?
Now, for the exception of my closest friends, most volunteers did not wish to be recorded nor to appear in camera. So, remember kids, when you're doing a test, you have to be ethical about it. The gum use was a sugar-free substance to prevent any opportunity of glucose entering your brain and giving you a sugarific cognitive boost. When the results came in, they were not as expected. As Group A, the lads who started with a gum in their mouths actually increased their score by a greater margin compared to the other two groups. Now, we are not comparing test scores from Group A to B nor C. We're just measuring individual performance increase. It's because we're trying to figure out how much of a help will gum bring to your cognitive ability. One of the individuals stated that she felt more comfortable with that thing out of her mouth, and not only that, many volunteers complained that they felt the gum as a distraction as they were trying to concentrate on doing that test. And that's not it. People in the opposite condition were actually complaining that the sound of their fellow classmates' gum chewing was actually irritating and did not let them focus on their test. Overall, all groups performed better in their second test, and those who actually scored the highest agreed that it was the warming up of the first test that allowed them to perform better during the second test.
To develop a little bit more on this matter, what this test actually measured was by how much of a margin would someone improve if they started to chew gum. What we're talking here is individual achievement. Like, we're trying to figure out if you're gonna chew gum, if it's gonna help you improve your focus to study, to do homework, to do better on the test, to listen to your teacher more efficiently. But what we will not do in this test is compare test scores from students who were chewing gum to those who were not, because as I mentioned before, we're trying to determine if you, this student, will get any benefit from chewing gum. Now let's discuss the test groups. Group B started without a gum. Group A started with a gum, while C didn't get any gum at all. During the second test, Group A spit out their gum and B started to chew. You would expect A to do worse, but in reality they didn't. Let's start out with Group C, who didn't receive any gum, and yet they actually managed to increase their scores. The second time they did their test, they improved by 2.76%, and their test turning time improved by 5.08%. Now let's compare it to Group B. When Group B received their gum during the second test, they improved by 3.17% and their times by 5.06%, which is not even 1% difference to Group C. And either way is still pretty insignificant. Group A, however, increased their test scores by 8.16%, which is almost a letter's grade, and their test turning time by 11.92%. Now remember, Group A started with a gum in their mouths. The second time, they had to spit the gum out, so they actually performed almost twice as better than the other folks who had the gum.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Stop laughing.
Hello.
Okay, go on.
Alright, Sam. Do you think that the gum helped in any way to, like, in concentration in your test? Like, did it make you, like, you know, like, give you superpowers or something?
Not really.
Not really.
The first one is like you don't know what's coming, but the second time you're more prepared.
I think the gum helped you
The
or
gum-
distracted you in any
The
way?
gum distracted you.
It kind of does.
It distracted you because
It actually made me go faster
The gum?
because I was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. So you say it helped you? Do you think that the gum helped you in any way?
I don't think so.
Most, if not all, were completely oblivious to the fact that the TV was turned on the whole time because nobody mentioned it as a distraction. Interesting, huh? Could it be that we're more used to the humming sound of a TV set rather than the high-pitched sound of gum chewing? So in conclusion, does chewing gum help you concentrate? Not in this test. In my rather unprofessional opinion, chewing gum is a rather poor substitute for a good overall study. Thank you for watching.